it's gone. Brody Kostecki is the king of the mountain. He got it pulled up. He made the exit. He is now in 2024 the Repco Supercars Champion. And what a drive today.
G'day, James Paver here from supercars.com, here with my mate Zach Dowdle for the Summer Cooldown Season Reviews brought to you by City Rural Insurance Brokers. Zach, we've made it to Team 18. Wow, what a season for this team on and off the racetrack. Holy smokes.
There's a bit to unpack here, isn't there? Start of the year, we think they're onto a winning formula, don't we? Adrian Burgess comes in behind the scenes. David Reynolds comes in as a driver off the back of some really hot form at the back end of 2023 with Grove Racing. And we come to the end of the season and Mark Winterbottom's on the way out. They haven't really got the results that perhaps you'd expect from such a driver lineup that they had. And it's just been a really, I think, a frustrating season for Team 18, and I'm sure they'll be feeling the same internally.
Yeah, I mean, they've got a lot of firepower off the track. You talk about Adrian Burgess, who has massive experience, but there are guys there like Jeff Slater, Som Sharma, a really good engineer as well. So they have the right people there. Whether that's the right tools as well remains to be seen, but you're right, they started out of the gate. I mean, David Reynolds was equal fourth in the championship at the Bathurst 500. There were good moments as well at the Grand Prix. Frosty got that amazing podium and then got another podium in Darwin, but as well, kind of rocks and diamonds for these guys, unfortunately. And you get to August and Frosty's ready for another contract, and then it wasn't to be. But I think there's a lot of highlights there for those guys. I mean, not many teams can say they got more than one podium this year. They got two, and it was the guy that's departing the team. So your assessment of Team 18's year on a whole, a couple of stats we can paint the picture in a second, but those two podiums for Frosty I thought were really impressive, and we've got a really impressive stat about Frosty we'll get to in a second, but Reynolds' first year as well had a real mixture of moments, didn't it?
It certainly did. I mean, Bathurst 500, as you said, Dave Reynolds comes out of the gate, all guns blazing. I recall there was even that one session, can't remember if it was the Saturday or the Sunday, where he had a car issue and he literally had one lap to get it in the shootout, and he nailed it too. And that was a really impressive performance. And then the year rolls on and Dave sort of falls away a little bit, and start to think how much of that is Dave gelling with Bathurst, perhaps the season opening performance for Dave Reynolds. And then you got Frosty, who really struggled with one lap pace, as we'll touch on soon. But in saying that, the only two times he really qualified anywhere near the front all year, he walks away with trophies. So clearly the car is there on its day. It's just, once again, it's almost a bit of a running theme with quite a few teams up and down the paddock, and especially in the midfield. It's just one lap pace that's really holding them back from progressing further up the grid and challenging for stronger results on a regular basis.
Before we get into too much detail, Zach, let's get a message from our partners. Our season reviews are proudly sponsored by City Rural Insurance Brokers. City Rural, a subsidiary of the Cowden Group of companies, has over 50 years' experience supporting their clients. They offer a range of specialist insurance from heavy industry to food trucks. They are your insurance pit crew. Head to cityrural.au. There's always going to be a fascinating season for Team 18. You know, a guy like Scott Pye moves on, high caliber driver. A guy like David Reynolds comes in, high caliber driver. So Charlie Schwerkolt wants to make this work, and they're getting the keys to success for this team. But ultimately, the results are what you can judge a team off. So you look at their head-to-heads. Qualifying head-to-head, David Reynolds 15, Mark Winterbottom 9. Race head-to-head, David Reynolds 12, Mark Winterbottom 12. So you can see where they were sort of evened up. But, a team's championship finish of 10th for these guys, they won't be happy with that. They've got a lot of firepower in the sheds. But with Mark moving on, Anton coming in, which we'll get to in a second, there are some results here that I thought were quite pertinent towards Frosty's year as well. I mean, yes, it's sort of a double-edged sword. If you don't qualify well, if you race well, congratulations, that's a pretty good performance. But Frosty topped a lot, 24 drivers. When you put his average start against his average finish, he gained at least, on average, 3.2 positions per race, which in a 24-car field, you really see that performance.
100%. And it's like I said before, when he was up the front, he stayed up the front. And when he was further back, yes, he pushed through a little bit, but when you're starting so far back, there's only so much you can do to sort of recover, apart from the odd occasion where you might see someone tear their way through the field and do something really, really impressive. But Frosty, you could tell there was frustration there, especially in quali trim, and even for Dave from time to time throughout the year. But for Dave Reynolds in particular, the back end of the year, there was a lot of pace there, but unfortunately, Quite a lot of contact with walls too, which really set them back. So, look, the promise is there, particularly on Dave Reynolds' side of the garage. And as you said, Anton De Pasquali comes in next year, which that's going to be a fascinating reunion for Anton and Dave going back to Erebus days back in the late 2010s. So it's going to be really interesting to see where Team 18 go heading forward.
You talk about Dave and his performance towards the end of the year. He was very, very fast, wasn't he, man? He was nearly a net fourth in qualifying before he found the wall at Dippers. So there was speed there. Unfortunately, they rolled that car out in Gold Coast, got through the weekend, then turn 8 bit again. So those two incidents for me is a guy that's pushing really, really hard, is a guy who really wants pace. Age is just a number. Dave's a Bathurst winner. He's won races before, but when you're having to drive the car that hard, sometimes the pace might be there, sometimes it's not. But ultimately, they'll be frustrated to have to repair a few cars as well. So 2025, Team 18, Anton De Pasquali coming to the team. There were quotes from Ryan Story shortly after that announcement that Anton, he might flourish at a team like this. There's a bit less pressure on him, per se, at a team like Team 18 versus Dick Johnson Racing. There's so much pressure from the fan base in particular. Anton, can he thrive there?
Well, Team 18 have been struggling for one-lap pace, so who better to bring in than a one-lap specialist like Anton De Pasquali? I mean, initially the move seemed kind of bizarre to move from a team like Dick Johnson Racing to Team 18, which a lot of people would consider to be a bit of a step back. But I can understand why he's gone there. I mean, and I can understand why Team 18 also wanted to pursue him. I think that one-lap pace is really something that's holding them back, and if they can unlock that, you've got Anton and Dave, who are both very, very fast race drivers on their day and can both stay at the front as well. I mean, Anton's racecraft, perhaps a little bit of a question mark still there, particularly if he's fighting up the front for strong results. But I think if he has the team around him to support him, I think Anton can really thrive. And I think Dave and Anton, they have a good relationship. They have had a good relationship since they were teammates back at Erebus. So, it's going to be really interesting to see how it goes. And I mean, if the rumours keep on swirling, maybe a change of manufacturer for 2026, who knows? But 2025 for sure, going to be a very interesting year for Anton and Dave, and could be one of the head-to-head matchups to watch.
It's a great point you raised there, Zach. We're going to talk about a lot of other teams in our Summer Cooldown series, brought to you by City Rural Insurance Brokers.